Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sober Bliss Meets. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Suzannah Butcher, who I'm honoured to say that you are my friend now, aren't you, Suzannah?
Yeah, definitely.
We've had a few meetings and chats together, and today I'd like to welcome Suzannah, who is founder of Calmpreneur, and you are also an EFT coach as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to talk about today, and also Suzannah's journey to do with addiction and giving up alcohol as well. So welcome, Suzannah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
So first of all, if you could just tell us what is EFT, or tapping as it's also known as.
Yeah, that's fine. So EFT just stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's a type of energy therapy or energy healing, which is based around the meridians in the body. So if anyone's watching or listening that's had acupuncture before, you may be familiar with that term. Used in traditional Chinese medicine, and it kind of believes that we have lots of different energy channels which kind of run throughout our body.
Yeah.
And EFT works by tapping on certain points of your kind of face and upper body in order to release blocked energy and to kind of restore harmony. So it's really useful for a wide range of things related to confidence, money blocks, releasing trauma, a whole host of amazing things that it can help with.
Yeah. Well, I've had a few sessions with you, haven't I? So I can kind of confirm that it is really, really helpful. Can you just explain, the process? So what happens if somebody were to meet with you and have a session? What's involved exactly?
So what I normally try and do is just have a kind of interim session, just so that people feel comfortable with me. I'm quite kind of laid back anyway, and we tend to just kind of go with the flow of what comes up. It's really important in terms of if there is trauma or any kind of upsetting issues, that they are treated really gently and compassionately. In some cases, I might need to just tiptoe around the trauma so as I don't re-traumatize somebody. So we kind of, I like to kind of work on whatever comes up for people. Sometimes people come to me with a specific need or a specific trauma which they'd like to release, but we'll just kind of talk through the session, work out what's coming up for people, and then what we do is rate the intensity of the emotion that they're feeling. So say if somebody's got a craving for a cigarette, it's like really bad craving, I might say, okay, how strong is that craving on a scale of 1 to 10? And this is on what's called the SUD scale, and that just stands for subjective units of distress. So 10 being like, oh my God, I really need a cigarette right now. The 1, well, I can kind of take it or leave it. So the idea is that you want to bring that intensity right down. And then we would start tapping, and tapping always starts with a setup phrase. And that's where you would just tap on what's called your karate chop point, which is just this kind of fleshy area on the side of the hand. And that's just about acknowledging the truth of how you're feeling right now, but kind of accepting that that is the truth of how you're feeling and that that's okay. So we'd do 3 different versions of the setup phrase, and then we would work through all the different tapping points. Normally do a few rounds depending on, I kind of use my intuition a little bit, so I'm guided by my client as well. Sometimes it might just be 1 round, sometimes it might be a few. And then I always like to kind of take a nice deep breath as well. But yeah, the tapping points are, just to show anyone who's watching who might be interested. Now, first of all, I just want to say as well, like when you first do EFT, it feels like really weird. You think like, what am I doing? Like, this feels a bit strange. But it does work. and it does really help. As studies have shown that it calms the amygdala, which is the kind of fight, flight or freeze response in your brain, and it also reduces cortisol in your blood, which is a stress hormone, and there's more emerging evidence for it, which is really good. So it does look weird, but it does work. So the points are, there's the eyebrow points, which is just at the top of the nose on the edge of the eyebrow, then it goes round to the side of the eye, just in line with the pupil. It goes under the eye, again just in line with the pupil on the bony bits. Then under the nose, midway, just halfway between the nose and the upper lip. The chin point, again, central to the chin. The collarbone point, which is a really nice tapping point, actually.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, you might like that one as well. Under the arm, which probably feels the strangest, it's just in line with the bra strap if you're a woman, or the nipple if you're a man, and then top of the head. And then you just work round again and again. And then we normally just end with a deep breath. Check in again on that distress scale to see whether it's come down. So hopefully it's come down by 1, 2, sometimes more. And then by the end of the sessions, working with somebody, the idea is that would come right down so that there is less distress associated with the issue.
Okay. Yes, I remember going through a few sessions with you and doing the rounds. And it does feel a bit weird at first, but you kind of settle into it, don't you, and just accept what's happening. And you can almost feel, in my case anyway, the kind of stress and the distress just kind of leaving as you go.
That's how people describe it. They say that they feel that they've had a release and that they feel lighter somehow.
Yeah, and a bit buzzy as well. I remember getting a little bit buzzy. Yeah. So how often would you say that it's helpful to do this? Say, for example, alcohol cravings, or you're on the sobriety journey. How much tapping would you need to do in order to help with that?
Well, it's difficult. I think if you want to do tapping on your own, that's absolutely fine. But as I said earlier, if you do have any trauma, tapping can bring them up. It's quite effective at bringing things up to the surface. So it's just something that people need to be mindful of. They don't want anyone to kind of go off and re-traumatize themselves. But if it is just a craving, then you can just tap until the feeling subsides. So people could just work through the points on their own, taking some nice deep breaths as they do that. I've got a few different videos on YouTube that people can follow as well. I need to do one actually for alcohol craving, so I think that'd be quite useful. Just every time that there is a craving is the ideal time to do it, and thereafter you can continue practice sort of morning and evening. A lot of people like to do it before bed because it kind of helps just to release the day a little bit. Yeah.
But you would recommend working with somebody like you? For example, me, I'd heard of it before, but I wouldn't have had a clue where to start or what to do. So it is recommended, really, isn't it, that you work with a professional?
Yeah, I think, if it's just a general issue, like I've done one just for panic on YouTube, so it just helped for people just to calm down. But if you want to kind of tackle lots of complex areas in your life, so maybe there is a food addiction which is tied to something else, because a lot of our problems present in adulthood, and it does quite often go back a lot further. When you kind of delve deep and unpeel the onion, there's a lot of stuff that we take with us into adulthood. I think if it is just a one-off craving, then it's fine to do it. But if you want to really get in deep and address those traumas, it's probably best to work with a practitioner one-to-one.
Yeah. Well, I can vouch for that because I found it hugely beneficial working with you, and we will at the end get your links and things so people can get in touch with you if they want to. Can you tell me how you discovered EFT? What drew you to it in the first place?
Yeah, so it must be about 6 years ago now. It was just a business group that I was in, and there was a lady in there that did tapping for money blocks, and I knew that I had a lot of money blocks that I needed to resolve. I think, I don't know if she's still practicing, but she's also on YouTube, funny enough. She's called Tapping Into Money Girl. If anyone's watching, that might be useful. So I was just literally following her videos. And then I kind of did it on and off throughout the years, but it wasn't really until I started Compreneur, about 18 months ago now, that I decided that I went on my own kind of personal development journey. And I thought, actually, I'd really love to learn more about EFT and how it works. So I then decided to study it myself as well. So yeah, practicing for about 6 years, and then actually qualified just for, when was it? End of last year. So not too long ago now, about 6 months altogether, I think.
Wow. And I've been dying to ask you this. Is it kind of draining for you? Because obviously when we do the tapping together, you're doing it as well and saying all the phrases. How do you handle other people's trauma, if you like?
Well, it's surprising actually. I thought that I would be more affected than I am. I'm fine, and there is something with tapping which is called borrowed benefits, which is lovely, and this is quite often felt. Some practitioners do like group events, so they might like have a local meeting and like do EFT to a group of people, and even if you're tapping on someone else's issue or trauma, quite often you can feel the benefits yourself. So I think actually that the tapping helps me to kind of cope with the things that I'm hearing and the things that I'm trying to help with. So it's quite nice for me in some respects as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely, because I was worried.
Oh, bless you. No, it's fine. It's actually nice. I just afterwards, I normally just take a few breaths myself. I might have a little tap sometimes, just in case there is anything. But for the most part, I'm able to leave it in the session until the next time. So it's quite good. It feels like it's a healthy kind of boundary.
Yeah. And for me, it's just a lovely way to get things out, I found, because you can sit by yourself and journal or meditate on something, but actually doing the tapping, it's just a lovely release, and it does make you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's that there's new kind of evidence and research about somatic healing, which is where you heal your mind through your body, and it's particularly effective for trauma. So yeah, it is really nice. It's a good way of processing difficulties.
Yeah. And how often would you have to do it? For example, if you had an issue, do you have to keep going for weeks or months?
Well, I would normally recommend, so I tend to work with people either in blocks of 3, 5 or 10 sessions. So some people find that even after 3 sessions, they feel like amazing benefits from it.
Wow.
I tend to do 5 seems to work for generalized anxiety and maybe 1 or 2 traumatic incidents, but 10 sessions is for kind of the real life-changing work, I guess. I think we had 6, didn't we, in the end?
We did.
We addressed quite a lot in those
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah, we did.
It's surprising what you can cover in an hour. And like I said, I'm quite led by the client, because what comes up for them is obviously important, and sometimes we seem to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but then we might go back to the big thing at the beginning a bit later on. So it's a process, I guess.
Yeah, a lovely process, I found. Okay, so I wanted to ask a little bit more about your journey, because we've met in Compreneur, which is a business group, isn't it, for women like me who want to have a business and be calm about it. But we also got similarities in our alcohol-free journey as well. Would you mind sharing your personal journey about this?
Not at all. So yeah, I started drinking at a really young age. So gosh, even as a child, actually, I remember being allowed port and lemonade at Christmas, and Just quite a lot of alcohol around all the time. My dad was an alcoholic, or addicted to alcohol, as was my mum. She drank quite a lot as well. So alcohol was a massive part of our lives. And yeah, I remember getting drunk. I probably got drunk maybe 12 or 13 the first time I got drunk. Wow. Yeah, really young, really young. And then I didn't drink. I drank quite a lot up until I was about 16, then not so much for a few years. And then it was more as I got into adulthood and this kind of stresses and strains of life took over, I would drink more heavily. I used to be one of the lads. So I'd drink pints of lager and I'd keep up with the boys that were drinking when my husband and I first got together. And then it was really when I had my kids that I started to drink more, actually, which is quite bad. I know that it's probably a similar story for you, isn't it, as well?
It is, yeah, and a lot of mums as well, I think.
Yeah, it's really, I didn't drink when I was pregnant like you, I gave up drinking and smoking. I was really healthy. And then I just started habitual drinking, just Friday night wine, then it was Saturday night wine, and then some leftover Sunday night wine, bad day Monday night wine, and it gradually just kind of got worse and worse. And then it just came to a point a couple of years ago. I knew I was drinking too much, and I'd known it for some time. But I don't know, something just changed. Like I had a few messages from the universe, if you want to call it that. I kept seeing little bird cages everywhere, and it just seemed significant. And then I realised that it was on a book that I'd ordered, which was The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober. And I thought, there's like, this is a sign if ever I saw one.
Definitely.
And it was that book actually that really triggered it for me. And then I read the Jason Vale book, How to Quit Drinking, I think it's called.
Kick the Drink Easily, I think it is.
Yeah, I read that one as well. And then I didn't drink then for about 8 or 9 months. And I occasionally drink now, but I have to be really careful because I can't moderate my alcohol intake at all. So I don't have it in the house. But if we're going out, or on the rare occasion we have people over for dinner, then I might have a glass then. But to be honest, I think there will come a day when I have to just say I can't have anything at all. And I do worry that even now, when things are particularly stressful, I do still get that craving and think, I could all too easily go to the shop and get a bottle of wine, put it that way.
And we talked about that, didn't we, in the group, about that moment of stress when it's just, like you say, it's just so easy and tempting to numb everything out with wine. And do you use EFT to help you through those moments?
Yeah, I do, and that was what I had last week. I had it was just like a fear of missing out thing, just seeing people at events and abroad and drinking, and it was just like, I don't know, my life just seemed quite boring, I suppose.
No.
So yeah, I just tapped through that kind of feeling of really needing a drink, and that just helped me to put things in perspective. But I use lots of different techniques. So I use distraction, I use meditation, and I write quite a lot as well. I know you're a fan of journaling. I journal as well.
Yeah. And this all kind of came from that sign from the universe and reading the book. And do you feel better for having that long break and now drinking hardly anything?
Yeah. So like I didn't drink like for the whole of January, and then at the weekend we had friends over, so we had a little bit, but not much at all. But what I'm most pleased about is that we've just broken that habitual drinking habit, because I think that was the most damaging. It was used, I self-medicated with alcohol, I self-soothed with it. It was my release. I was really quite protective of my time. I didn't want anyone around. I wanted that to be my drink time, my mummy time to drink. And it was really unhealthy, but it was the mornings that I really felt that was the worst, because I started to just feel so guilty when I woke up in the mornings. I felt guilty that I hadn't slept very well, that I wasn't up early for my kids, that I'd maybe said something the night before, that I wasn't very present for them. And that was the worst feeling, actually.
Yeah, it is. I can relate to that completely. And waking up in the night as well, you know, panic attack and heart racing and regret and shame and everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I feel that it's worth it, you know. I know it's giving up with the cravings and the fear of missing out, but just to have that peace of mind, and especially when you wake up in the morning and you know that you haven't done anything bad, you haven't said anything awful, just that peace of mind and that sense of freedom, for me anyway, it's just what makes all the tough moments a lot easier to get through. Would you find that as well?
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. I just feel like when I stopped drinking for that long extended period of time, everything changed for me, really. I realised how much I had been self-sabotaging. I realised how much I've been putting off making decisions about my business. I realised that I was just coasting and drifting, and like the amount of money as well spent on alcohol was just ridiculous. You know, you think four, 5, 6 bottles of wine a week, you know, it's a lot of money, well over 150 quid a month just on alcohol. So that was a cause of guilt as well. But yeah, my life feels a lot calmer now. And I remember you writing a post about this. Everything does feel calmer. So like when I first stopped, I literally thought I could never, ever, ever, ever do it. I thought, how can I ever do a Friday and Saturday night without drinking wine? I just didn't think I could ever do it. And it was tough, you know, the first few weekends were difficult. I was like, you know, biting my nails and, you know, oh God, this is boring. But actually now I really like my Friday and Saturday nights. You know, I get my tonic water. I might get a little sweet treat, watch something on Netflix. And just, it's nice. I go to bed a bit earlier, but it's nice. It's not like it doesn't feel boring. It just feels calm.
Yeah. So you go from kind of sitting on your hands, don't you, and just hoping for the best to then you do develop new routines, new habits, and you discover things that you like to do instead, don't you? I'm like you. I really like my Friday and Saturday nights now. You find different ways to treat yourself.
Yes. Yeah, and it's like that is my self-care, you know, not drinking is actually self-care.
Exactly. Yeah.
Reversing it, because I think we are given the message that, you know, Friday night, nice a glass of wine, treat yourself, but actually, is it really caring for yourself if you've got a problem with alcohol or you've got any kind of level of addiction there? But just generally speaking, you know, this must frustrate you so much, the messages that we get about alcohol, and actually how damaging it is. And it is so damaging. And I never thought that I'd be in the position of being addicted to alcohol after, you know, watching my own dad die from the disease as alcoholism. You know, I didn't think that would happen to me. And yet, you know, I was going down that route.
Yeah, it is scary. But I think it's even scarier the fact that it's kind of promoted and pushed on, especially as mums. You know, I remember talking to my friend when I was still drinking about a bad day that I'd had with the kids, and you know, the first thing that she would say, and the first thing that you see on social media is like, "Oh, sounds like you deserve a glass or two of wine." And I like to think of it now as, do you actually deserve to poison yourself? Do you deserve to feel that way? Do you deserve the guilt and the shame? No, you don't. You deserve so much more. You deserve to feel so much better. And I think that's what's helped me as well through difficult times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more then about Calmpreneur. You're the queen of calm, aren't you?
Queen of calm, yeah, trying to be. My crown falls off sometimes. Yeah, so I mean, this was all, it was like this few months that were just a catalyst for change in my life. So one of them was giving up drinking, which was really significant, because then I'd I just got clarity on where I was going with stuff. At the time, I was running a membership website for women in business. So I was doing a lot of online training for women in business based around all sorts of things, confidence, social media, list building, loads of different things. But I was really just burnt out. I was struggling to keep up with the workload. I loved helping people. Like, I really loved helping people to do stuff in business. That was really fulfilling, but it just felt that there was something not quite right about what I was offering. So I made the decision to close that membership, which was really heartbreaking. But I knew that it was the right thing to do. I was a bit fed up of just feeling like I couldn't be honest about my struggles with mental illness and showing up, fake it till you make it, all those kind of hustle messages. I felt like I had to wear a mask. I felt that I couldn't really be totally myself because it would be seen as a weakness or seen as some sort of failing. So I just was in bed one morning thinking, what should I do? Like, where am I going with my business and my life? And I just came up with that idea that actually I wanted to be honest. I wanted a more calm business. I wanted to still help people because I really liked that. And I knew that other people must feel like me because, we do get so many messages that are unhealthy. And I knew that with so many people out of the population struggling with stuff like anxiety and depression, all kinds of mental illness, I knew there'd be other people in business that had an illness. So I came up with the name Calmpreneur, and I thought, that's what I want to encapsulate. Like, that's what I want to be. So I try and be that. I don't always. I'm still on my own journey. Like, I'm not quite there yet. But it just sounded like something that people might like to be.
Yeah, I would.
So I just started blogging. I started my group. I had no real plans business-wise or making money-wise, which is probably completely not sensible. But I was, I'm quite heart-centered, so I kind of go with my gut and my, the flow a lot more. And then I started to want to know more about trauma and healing. So I just decided to study EFT. I trained as a mental health first aider, training as a coach at the moment, and doing trauma courses as well. So I just wanted to just learn as much as I could that I could pass on to other people. And I used to be quite closed about, I've always been really open and like a real oversharer. But in business, I've always been quite guarded. And I think that's my husband's fault, because he's like, well, you want to be careful. People don't steal your ideas. So I'm like this, don't copy my homework. But now it just feels nice because I'm just so much more open about everything. And I just think, we're all different. And, if someone does copy one of my ideas, so what? They are them and I am me.
Exactly. It's the person, isn't it? Not the thing or the product. It's the person.
Definitely. Yeah. And it just feels nice now to just share so openly and givingly without any expectation of anything.
Yeah. And would you say that this kind of journey all stemmed from you rethinking your relationship with alcohol and having a break?
Yeah, I think it really did, actually. It did, because that's how it all came about. I'd given up drinking. I can't remember what month it was now, but I'd had quite a long stint of not drinking. But the year before was really bad. So I was just drinking so much to cope with all sorts of different stress in my life, lots of financial stress, lots of worry about my kids, lots of worry about self-doubt and being successful. And it was all fueled by pain. And it was when I gave up that I guess that healing journey really did start. And that's when I decided to change business as well.
Yeah. Wow, it's so inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
It is. So what would you say to somebody who is currently thinking, gosh, I am in that place, I need to change. what advice would you give to them who want to give up perhaps, or are worried about their drinking?
So I would first of all say, God, well done for even getting to that stage. Like I
Yeah.
had little alarm bells going off for quite a long time before I even thought about giving up drinking. So like that's a really big decision in itself. And it might not even be that you do it now, but at least it's in your mind. And just to take it slowly, explore a little bit, definitely read all the books, all of them, because they do really help. They really help you to get a different perspective on drinking, which is something that just, was really transformational for me, just thinking about alcohol so much differently. Get support, because it's just really nice knowing that you're not on your own with it and that other people have been through it. And I know that anyone that's watching who is thinking about giving up will think that they won't be able to do it. But I just want to tell them that they will.
Yes,
and they can.
Definitely.
Because I felt the same. And that, you'll find that it will be tough and you might relapse. But if you do give up, then, you'll find much greater fulfillment in your life for sure.
Yes, you will. I can vouch for that, 100%. Yes. Okay, and just before we go, Suzannah, if somebody is interested in learning more about emotional freedom technique or tapping and they want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
So you can either just contact me on social media, just at Suzannah Butcher. I've got a group which is called Calmpreneur, and that's anxiety survival tips for business owners. And you can also head to my website just to find out more about EFT at susannahbutcher.co.uk. Okay.
We put all of that in.
Thank you.
The description. Oh, well, thank you so much, Suzannah. It's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
You're welcome. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we go? Have I missed anything? Any burning question or piece of advice you want to share?
No, just to say thank you to you for the work that you do as well. And it's lovely to be in the same online space as so many other women, trying to make a difference somehow.
Yeah, it is. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.